Hello and welcome to the Practitioners Panel Podcast with Nirvana Strength, and I'm Ian McLeod, the co-founder of Nirvana Strength. So we are focused on human performance optimization, defined as the process of applying knowledge, skills, and technologies to improve and preserve the capabilities of humans to execute essential tasks. Yeah. So on today's episode, we're going to be joined by Denny Bakiev. and his partner Kristina Virinda. She is running a little bit late, so she'll join us in a bit. But they are both very. I would say, well, you guys are very famous in the Flair bartending world and your industry, and very high level performers in Flair bartending. Or you just say Flair?
It's Flair Bartending.
Yeah.
It's Flair Bartending, which is just the art of performing or entertaining guests behind the bar, serving bottles, juggling with bottles, with all equipment in the bar. But basically, just using anything that's available in the bar to entertain the guests while you're making a cocktail. But also, it has this kind of competitive side as well, which is preparing and practicing for competitions, and it doesn't really have anything to do with bar anymore, because you have your kind of like Flair gym where you go and you have bar mats on the floor, so everything, it's hard to break bottles, right? You would just protect the floor, the walls. Then you have your portable bar, and you practice in there, preparing your, let's say, 4 or 6 minutes routine. With your music, you editing your own music, so you preparing pretty much performance for the stage, and then you just travel. When you're ready, you travel to all these competitions, compete for money, and it's quite interesting thing, because it's not that popular. People don't know about it that much, but it's a whole industry, and a lot of people are following that. A lot of bartenders are living this kind of lifestyle. Yeah, no,
it's very cool to experience it. I experienced it at the Singapore championship, and to see yourself, judging, and then see Kristina competing, and then seeing all the other like high level, like world class, performers, and even meeting Christian. Yeah. So Christian is like the real OG, right? Like
he was like 18 times world champion. So he was there from beginning in a way, Yeah. Basically, what happened in 1988, we had this movie called Cocktail with Tom Cruise.
I remember that.
From that movie, like the industry just boomed. Like a lot of people started being interested in doing something more behind the bar instead of just making drinks, and it was a completely different way of going out as well. People were going to nightclubs or less to bars. It was not really big bar. It was pubs and nightclubs pretty much. So the people was going out to nightclubs, and that was the great environment for Flair, right? Because people like wanted to have fun, and Flair was just fitting inside this loud music and all this strobe light or whatever it is, So people like bartenders started kind of entertaining guests behind the bar in that way. For example, right now it's more of mixology. People are more focused on cocktails, on service, so it's more of the bar scene happening right now than Flair scene, which was simple cocktails or simple mixed drinks,
right? And
more of kind of showing things and juggling around and stuff.
But there's definitely, even a mix of the two, right? You find that
professionally.
Yeah, professionally. So you find that the high level Flair bartenders also are like really good at making. Both of you are amazing at making drinks, and I think most people, when they think it's like, I think we had one discussion about this where, like the average person is like, oh, I can make a gin and tonic, like even something super simple, but it's so easy to really mess it up.
For sure, yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about like what is how deep do you go into like thinking about making drinks, doing your routine? Maybe talk about some of the process that goes into actually the whole idea of being a professional Flair bartender.
Yes, basically, for me, there's no such thing as, there is professional Flair bartender, there is a professional mixology bartender, but then there is a professional bartender that, in my opinion, includes both, right? And that's when you kind of know how to make drinks, you know how to come up with the balanced recipe, you know how to serve the guest, you know how to operate the bar, and that comes to the roasters, to managing staff and everything like that, right? So you kind of need to know everything about bar and smooth service in a way. But then you also have that side of being able to be kind of good host and good entertainer behind the bar, because people come in not really for drinks. I mean, for sure it's a big side, but people come in just for this communication, the experience, the feeling,
the environment.
You know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people missing that, because like I see a lot of cocktail bars are opening and they're so focused on cocktails, so cocktail become more important than the guest at the end, and it's not really right for me. I think professionalism is something that that's why you're professional, because you know everything about your kind of craft, right? So for me, in the bartending, it includes flair. So you whatever you touch, it makes it feel and look natural, right? So flair helps you, like if you know how to juggle 4 bottles, for example, right? Or do some crazy tricks with like 3 shakers, 2 bottles for competition flair bartending, right? Then when you behind a bar, any bottle you grab, you can see your wrist is moving the way, much smoother and stuff, because you're kind of macro movements. It's really practiced to that level, so everything you do, you have that confidence and kind of smooth lines and everything, so it's nice to watch, it's pleasant to watch.
I do find that even like if you go to a bar, and you're watching the bartender, like how they move behind the bar and what they're actually doing, like there's inherently kind of like an artistic way of moving, right?
Sure.
And you can see if they're even more
stage in a way, when you're behind the bar, it's your stage, because you have to act in a particular way. You almost like become not yourself when you're behind the bar, because you have a lot of people watching you, right? So every time we get noticed by a lot of people, we have this pressure, right? So that's exactly what you experience in working behind the bar. And you need to kind of develop that skill of being good performer, because that's what you're doing. You're not just making drinks, you're making people feel, whatever it is, feel comfortable or have fun, or there's many different ways to approach the guest.
Can you, just by watching someone's movements, not even actually looking at how they make the drink, can you tell if someone is like a good mixologist or good?
Yeah, you can tell right away, I think. I mean, for mixology it's a little bit different, because people can just be extremely focused on that mixology aspect, like which is creating some crazy ingredients for cocktails. Yeah, it's only because they do a lot of things right now. All of the best bars, they have these laboratories inside the bars.
They have some pretty sick places for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even in Bali, there's few popping up, like this Pontiac, right? The girl from
Pontiac's been.
She knows.
Have you been there yet?
Not yet. I never go out.
We should maybe go see it sometime.
Sorry?
We should go see there.
Yeah, we should check it out for sure. So she does some cool things. It will be more and more, because everywhere in the world is happening, right? So mixology, it's something that when you see like good mixology bartender behind the bar, not necessarily he's gonna be super skillful during the service, but the drink gonna taste great because he prepared. It's all about preparation for those cocktails, right? But when you go, I don't know, with examples, it's hard to, like in Las Vegas, for example, you go to a nice bar and you see bartender behind the bar doing all these, like, when he grabbed the bottle, he just throw it behind the back first before he pours, and you can see that the guy is really familiar with, like, actually service and that kind of entertaining aspect of working behind the bar in a way. So yeah, it's but anyway, I would say you go in. If I would go behind the bar, or not behind the bar, but inside the restaurant or bar, and I see bartender, you can kind of see by body language,
right,
how good he is, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you're going to be working in a bar, it makes more sense to have a good combination of the flair, the entertainment component, which is kind of like pre-drink entertainment, and then also, because if you suck as a mixologist, but your flairing is really good, and then someone just tries your drink, they're still going to be quite disappointed, I think, right? Like,
For
they're
sure.
going to be like, oh, that guy's really good, and then they try the drink, and it's just like, oh, this is horrible.
No, yeah, that's what actually, like, Flair bartenders have that reputation, you know, because
Of making bad drinks.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's changing right now because
Yeah.
everyone started focusing on product so much more. But that's how it was before. Like when I was doing all these competitions, like 5 years ago, or even 7 or 8, it was hard to prove to people. Like, you know, like when you meet someone, especially from mixology scene, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing flavor bartending and like this competition stuff. They're like, oh yeah, like they didn't really take it serious, you know, because
Right.
they thought that yeah, the mixology is super important. But actually now, there's few examples in our industry right now who can actually show like what kind of they went in Flair for some time and then mixology for some time, and now they have the whole package.
Yeah.
And when they show that behind the bar, it actually looks so much better than everything by itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think from, if you take those two specialties, right, I think it's actually someone who's really good at flair has the ability to, maybe they won't be like the best mixologist, but they could probably be a quite good mixologist, where I do find it's difficult for a mixologist to go the opposite direction
Yeah,
because of that
100%.
physical
Yeah, of
practice,
course, because it's
yeah.
yeah. I mean, to get professional in flair bartending, or at least to get ready for a competition, you probably would need to practice, I would say, at least 1 year, and you need to spend, I don't know, 3 hours a day, maybe 5 days a week, to get somewhere, you know, to
Yeah.
get like comfortable with the equipment and show some kind of level of confidence when you're gonna execute some of the moves. And some moves, for me, like some of those moves that I try to show on the stage for the competitions, for like some of the world best the competitions, like world championships, it took me maybe 3 years to practice, you know, like before I could
Wow.
actually land it on the stage.
right.
You know, so some of those, like, it's like, in a way, it has something in common with a circus, for example, right? When
Sure.
people are practicing their routine for many, many years, and then they perform that routine for the rest of their life because
Yeah.
that's what they know, you know?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people, they end up seeing just the final product, right? So like what you end up performing on stage,
Yeah.
and they kind of maybe don't even understand the process that high level professionals have to go through to be able to perform at such a high level. I mean, the Olympics are such a perfect example where people are literally preparing for 4 years or even longer, maybe, to have a 10 seconds on stage to perform. And
Yeah.
it's amazing like how much prep work has to go into just I mean, at least for you guys, you're on stage for what, 4 to 7 minutes is usually the length?
Yeah, usually there's 2 rounds, qualification round and the final. So qualification 4 minutes and final 6 to 7, something like that.
And you find it very similar with a lot of high-level professional athletes. Maybe not so much because, like, sports athletes, with regards to like ball sports, they get more time on stage. But if we think of like the like bodybuilders who are on stage for a very short period of time, Olympic athletes for a very short period of time. I'm always very curious as to how people's process is, you know, like how do they take their day-to-day routines and what kind of like behavioral like habits they have to kind of go in line, like sync in with what, because it's not just purely about the 3 or 4 hour practice. Like there's other, I mean, parts of your life that you have to get in order.
And especially, look, when I started being interested in flair bartending or bartending in general.
Yeah, so how did you first get started?
I moved.
You watched
I'm
The Cocktail.
originally from a small. Actually, that happened later.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I was born in a small city in Ukraine. It was like 40,000 people, so it was no much opportunities there, right? So when I finished my high school, I decided to go to university, and that was like when I was 18. I left home and went to study, and from the first semester, I already realized, because my parents couldn't like sustain me with some pocket money and stuff. You know, it was not enough. I was in the biggest city already, one of the biggest in Ukraine, and I just wanted to party a little bit. I wanted to go out with my friends and stuff,
Sure, just
and
like
you know,
anybody,
I wanted to
yeah.
experience because I you know, coming from a small city, you want to see the world because you're coming from such a small place. And yes, basically I was like, yeah, I need to find some job and try to kind of maintain it together. It was the study, and I was studying for management of hotel and restaurant business, so it was related. So I was like, okay, I'll try to get maybe a job as a waiter. And I was working in the city, and I saw this new Italian restaurant opening, and they were hiring. They were opening, I think, in 1 month or something. So I was 17 and just about to turn 18, so I was not even allowed to work, right? But they were opening in 1 month, and that was exactly when I was turning 18.
So is 18 the working age?
Yeah, you can start, yeah, officially. Okay. So I went inside and I asked for a waiter, right, because I didn't have experience in bartenders or anything. So they were like, no, we actually hired all the waiters already, but we're looking for bartender. We still have one spot. If you want, we can maybe try you out for that. I was like, no, it's not going to happen. I have no experience. For me, bartending was something, you know, like a science. When you see bar with so many bottles and you never even touch one of them, it's very, very complicated to actually even think that you'd be able to do it.
Right.
And so they kind of convinced me that they're going to have this program for kind of educational program before opening a restaurant. So they would teach me how to do things. It was quite simple.
Oh, that's cool, man.
But even for me, like for that time, for me, it was like out of this world, you know. Right. It was really hard to understand what was going to happen. So I was like, okay, I need money anyway, I'll take it. And so after 1 month they opened the restaurant, and I started working and studying at the same time. And after a few months I changed place. I went to another place to work, and I actually ended up in one of the best kind of clubs in that city for that moment. And I was working in a nightclub and a restaurant as well, and actually studying. Went to the I didn't really pay attention for studying anymore that much, because like work was kind of giving me, this was sustaining me with money, and I was learning everything that I was supposed to learn in university already on the spot, right?
Yeah, it's quite amazing, like even like getting actual experience in the industry that you want to work.
Yeah.
I think it's very beneficial to get it, because there's a lot of things you would learn in university that as soon as you got a job at the hotel or whatever, they just like, you don't use any of this.
Applies, yeah, exactly. And I see a lot of when I finish studying after 4 years, I still managed to finish my bachelor degree, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of complicated with work and not sleeping at night and coming back to university to try to pass some exams and stuff like that. But anyway, after 4 years, I had already 4 years of experience. And my friends was just having diplomas, that's it, right? So we were like in the same kind of situation, same age, but both of us had completely different kind of background already, you know. Yeah. So it was super beneficial. And at the same time, I was working in this place where one of the waiters used to be a Flair bartender. He used to study flairing, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's some place or school in that city, and he said that there will be one competition. So he invited me to just come and watch it, right? So we went inside. It was this big nightclub. It was big stage in the middle of the nightclub, and there was some judges, a lot of crowd, and you know everyone was cheering for bartenders. They were learning these like big moves with shakers and bottles. Everything was flying. Like, you know, when you never seen it before, it looks a little bit like magical. You know, it's glass bottles, it's metal shakers. It looks quite dangerous, but you know, when you throw multiple objects in the air and then you collect everything, and then you end up pouring something and make a drink in the end, it looked quite cool. And I just got so into it. I was like, I want to learn this. And I went to the school. I finished 3 months course first, and then
school for Flair bartending.
It was just a course, like really short one, just for basics in a way. So it was just something about simple basic stuff. And after a while I decided to try to compete. So I put my effort in practicing. I prepared for maybe a few months and went for my first competition, and then one after another. And after like 6 years or 5 years of competing and traveling around the world, I was third in 2012, third in World Grand Slam.
Okay.
And in Moscow, in the World Championship in 2012, I took third place as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the world. So that led to So did you finish competing in 2012? Was that like the last year? Or?
2014. Basically, even after I moved to Bali, I still was going for some competition here and there when I was invited, but I didn't take it serious from 2014.
Yeah.
So after 2012, I still was competing and
Right.
performing, but I was already kind of questioning what's next. I did, I went. One of the drivers for me was traveling for sure, because these competitions were happening everywhere,
yeah.
from Tokyo to Las Vegas, anywhere, right? And some competitions, like, you didn't even need to pay for your ticket. They were inviting you, sponsors, all these alcohol brands, they were paying for us. Like, for example, you could go to Monte Carlo and compete there with 20,000 euros prize money for
Wow.
10 people only. So it was like only international, only, how to say, invitational competition only.
Yeah.
And we could just come there, make a comp, make some money, didn't spend anything, have a big party, fly back home, and
That's
stuff
fantastic,
like that. Yeah,
man.
it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really everything that I wanted in that time, because I was like, 23, 22, and I just like, I really wanted to be in center of attention in a
Yeah.
way, and experience the world. And Flair gave me this opportunity to actually travel and experience.
So what was a big like change for you? Like, why did it go from like wanting to continue to compete to, I don't know, to what your next set was?
But it's hard to say, but everything I dreamt about when I was like 19 and 20, when I started flaring, and I decided that I want to put my mind into competing. I wanted to travel particular places. I even had a list of places or countries or cities I wanted to check or visit.
Yeah.
I wanted to like party everywhere as well. It was that one of the goals as well. I just wanted to see that scene. And after 5 years or 6 of competing like full on, I guess I went everywhere where I wanted to go for that time, and somewhere many times. So I started going same places, meeting same people.
Yeah.
And after coming to third place in 2012. I mean, it's not first, but it's very close. We were using the same benefits. We were invited for all these master classes, shows, some private events and stuff like that. So you kind of get through competing, you raise your name as well, and in the commercial scene, you start getting all these invitations, and so a lot of opportunities comes to you as well, like taking a part in some commercial videos for some alcohol, for tonic water. For
So you're in a bunch of commercials?
There's few, and not I don't have the most as some of my friends, but I took part in some, and it was really cool, really fun experience. And I guess it was just becoming the same, I think that's kind of part in life that will never, whatever you want to achieve, and it seems to be so amazing, you think when you will achieve it, that it will be it. Kind of you will be happy and complete. And for me, like when I was there already, after some time, I just realized, okay, what's next? This is, I got here already, it become normal, so probably it's not actual anymore in a way, right? So I kind of started questioning what's next, and I didn't really see myself competing and traveling like more, because it was not that interesting anymore.
But I think it's quite interesting, like that. Even like once you reach your goal, or you reached a certain level of accomplishment, that it was maybe not so much the accomplishment in itself that was what you were really enjoying, or you enjoyed, but that journey,
100%.
Right? The time that it took you to get to that point. Were there any, like, what were the highs and what were the lows within that journey?
The high. What do you mean highs and lows? What
was like your best, like, well, if you had like to pick out one point in that time 7-year period or so, like, was there like one point where like, wow, this is just super amazing?
Yeah, there was few for sure. I mean, you see, for the guy from a small town from Ukraine, without people from my city like never have opportunity to go anywhere. They never travel. They never been anywhere. If they go to Egypt once a year for vacation, that's already a dream come true. So for me to end up in these big venues in Las Vegas, Monte Carlo, Japan, or just to travel around the world and doing all these crazy things, everything was amazing. I was super stoked to be everywhere. Like in Monte Carlo, after competition, we had like Pharrell Williams singing for us, like after party and stuff. It was like huge, yeah. So that's why it was really exciting and stuff. But then after a while, it just started not dying out. Just the industry, everything is changing. So bartending industry went more into this mixology scene and stuff, and in the same time, Flair was not that interesting for me anymore already, and prize money was not the same anymore.
They're just dying out, or
it was a little bit. It's changing, probably just transitioning period,
Okay.
So it was just the right time to kind of say no to this and start focusing on something else. And that's why I came to Bali for competition one time. And second time I came for vacation, and I started questioning that, okay, maybe that would be a cool place to go for 1 year. I had some savings, so I just decided to come for 1 year and
1 year
learn surfing and just chill out a little bit and let go of being that attachment to Flair and competing and traveling, And after 1 year, the plan was after 1 year to think either way to come back, or in 1 year I would probably come up with some kind of idea. And now it's already 5 years. I'm in Bali. I'm managing 3 restaurants.
That's
bars
fantastic.
for 3 restaurants.
Yeah, and they're pretty high-profile places too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I was really lucky to join company in the right time. They were just about to start Damaria, and they have 7 restaurants, or 6 or 7 restaurants in Sydney. One of them is Icebergs, which is like one of the most iconic places in Australia, in Bondi Beach. So the company is very professional, really like, say not modern, but they have really interesting way of operation. It's based on a lot of freedom, and I feel like I'm in the right place right now for sure. It allows me to also grow in some other things, like I'm trying to learn about music. I'm trying to get into music production as well right now, and it's some kind of art was always in me. Like my father is a musician since he was 13 years old. And
what kind of music did he get into? What kind of musician was he?
He was playing anything, like before it was no DJs, it was musicians, right? So he was playing in all these discotheques and stuff like that. So probably that's where that entertaining element came in my blood. Yeah.
No, that's cool. It's nice. I think the transition part of life is can be very difficult for people. So it's it's very cool that your life came to Bali. I think. I mean, for me too. Like being in Bali has been quite an amazing experience.
No, it changed everything. It changed everything. It was exactly what I was looking for to that spiritual side of Bali. Just the community and everything. It was interesting to kind of move to such a place for a long time and get infused with all these cultural things. It's so mixed culture, so you pretty much leave nowhere at no time. Everything feels so kind of not vanished, but how to say that? It's a bit blurred out, like in that way that there is no saturation of one culture, of one or one religion or whatever, right? So this place really represents to me the future of the world in a way. Yeah,
I think though too, like being in Bali, especially if you're here if you don't leave for a long time, you get lost in that, like the rest of the world almost doesn't even exist. Like you're just, it's just like Bali and nothing else.
Yeah, like a Truman Show, or how was it?
Kind of like a Truman Show. Yeah, very much so.
It feels like.
So, how'd you meet this lovely lady, Kristina?
Yeah, it's again because of Flair. See, Flair gave me a lot.
Yeah, Flair is that's awesome, man. Was it where did you guys meet?
We met in Moscow. So we again coming from the same industry, and we had a lot of friends in common, and it was that time when Facebook just kind of booming, and people were starting kind of.
So you were stalking her on Facebook.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were all posting all these videos of our moves and Flair in Facebook in some like community groups, right? And she started posting these videos, and she looked cool with her style and everything, and like she looked really different to any other girls who's doing Flair, because sometimes it can be mainly a little bit, and it doesn't really look so attractive. And Kristina was doing it in that kind of dancing way, and it was really smooth, and all her lines and moves was quite original. So yeah, we just started chatting, and after some time we got to meet in Moscow, and after 2 months we were already traveling for a few weeks in Europe.
Yeah.
And
because you guys were doing a lot of the same competitions, or
because it's all the same kind of group of people traveling around the world in all these comps. So it's quite it's world community, but at the same time it's still quite small, right? Maybe if you count all Flair bartenders who's doing Flair professionally, it's around maybe 150 to 100 people who is really putting their money.
It's quite a small community.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
but
there's a lot of Flair bartenders who just do it for fun and just do it for, just maybe competing in some local competitions. But if you talk about like international level, that's around 150 to 200 people, I would say, not more.
So Kristina, we were talking a little bit about like Denny's like kind of path into becoming a Flair bartender.
Right.
How did you first get started?
So actually, I was just moving to the capital city in Norway, and I grew up there. And
Can you say what's your surname again?
Sorry, Kristina, Virinda, Øre.
This is a very tough one.
This is
for
it's
immigration.
Norwegian.
For immigration, yeah.
No, it's no, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to actually take a dog instructing course, but before it started.
What instructor course?
Dog instructor.
Dog in?
Yeah, I love dogs. So
like actual dogs.
Yeah,
okay.
like becoming an instructor.
Yeah.
For training dogs, and then before
then-
that started, I just needed, it was like summer holiday, and I needed some money and everything like that. So I just Googled some jobs, and it came up like bartending course. So I was like, yeah, okay, I will try that. So it was actually really intense, like EBS European Bartender School course. It was 1 month, and I attended that, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned that, and I got offered a job quite quick in a like not prestigious bar, but a place that's
nice.
Not nice, but it was hard to get
Not
a job
even
as
nice.
bartender.
Okay.
I mean, not nothing special like that. Just
Yeah.
TGI Fridays. That everyone wanted to work
okay.
there,
Oh,
like as a
really?
bartender. So
I think I remember, like, especially in America when they first were starting, they had a lot of, they would wear, like, they would be very kind of flamboyant, like
Super
very
cool.
flared,
Yeah,
and
very
the bartenders
personalized.
were,
the waiters would come to the table, like sit down, take the orders, very homey and stuff like that.
This is where cocktail took place as well. I think it was in cocktail movie. It was
Yeah.
Fridays as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Fridays was actually quite big in like flaring there. My job
Yeah.
description was like I had to do flaring at work. So I needed to learn that. I never saw it before, anything like that. I was just introduced like that. Like I needed to throw the bottle behind the back or something like that. And it was just super cool. So I started liking it more and
You
more.
used to dance before as well, so it was kind
Yeah, I
of
danced,
related.
For sure. I danced my
performance, yeah.
Yeah.
just by hobby, and I actually did some dance competitions also.
You can look
Yeah.
at Flair as almost dancing with the bottles,
Yeah.
because when you're on the stage, you have your music that you set up by yourself, so you choose your beats and stuff, and you practice to them, and you use some beats to connect to your moves as well. So there is some music interaction applies to it as well. So like in a way, it's very similar to just dance, but in the same time you do cocktails and stuff. So it's that kind of art of movement to make the
Do most competitors, they make their own music as well,
Yeah.
or they usually have someone else do it for them, or
It depends. If they
Yeah.
cannot, I mean, music like
because
Denny
that in
said,
itself is a pretty hard skill.
yeah, they
So-
don't make the music, but I mean, you need to be able to maybe edit it, like following your routine. If you
Right.
want to, use music interaction, as you said, like use the bottle and.
For sure, you need to learn about some software, how to kind of edit and mix some songs together so they sound good for the stage. Because it's same as when DJ is playing music. If he like not much two songs together, it breaks the vibe. So
Yeah.
you need to think about that to kind of in 6 minutes you build it up as a theater performance in a way. There is like intro, outro, you know, everything has to be kind of. So after 6 minutes of watching your routine, people would have some kind of something left, you know. They would feel like, oh,
like
that, you know,
or,
some particular vibe you bring into the stage as well, right? So it's again, competitive Flair bartending but Flair bartending behind the bar is completely different things, right? There's working Flair and there's like exhibition Flair that you use more for competitions and stuff.
So Kristina, how did you move from just working at the bar, doing Flair for work, and then actually trying to get into the competitive scene?
Yeah, so I was working there like 4 years, and we had what we called like store challenges in at my work. We had 3 competitions a year, and we had to attend them. So I was like, fuck, this is actually quite cool. There's not many girls doing it. So then I decided, but it requires so much time practicing. I was working full time, so I didn't have time to practice that much. I wanted to become like better, but it required so much time. So I found a part-time job in the weekend, and I actually moved back to my mom and rented a Flair studio, like a room that I just made like a Flair studio, and I would practice there all week. Even night I had mattress there, and I was sleeping there. And I was just practicing more and more, and that was the period where I was posting, like Denny said, on Facebook we had a group for like a Flair community, posting your moves and stuff like that. So that was the period where I decided that next year I would just practice and start competing abroad, because I knew about competitions internationally then.
That's a pretty big decision to make. I mean, I'm guessing like you worked at Fridays, you probably have, for 4 years, you're having a pretty decent job there, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just to decide to be like, I'm gonna quit to this safe job. I'm gonna move in with my parents and just start going after something that I don't even know where it's gonna go.
Oh, the funny thing is that I remember my bosses. They were laughing me like in the face. They were like, "What are you doing? You know, what are you thinking about Flair? What is that?" And because Norway is so small, also there is no, you don't see any shows or Flair or anything there.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, but I want to do this, you know, because it was such a huge passion.
Yeah.
In a way, it was like I almost like took her away from Flair, you know, because I was already kind of done with Flair, and she was just rising and getting all the attention and stuff. And we got together and we decided to move somewhere, because in that time I was living in Moscow. I had my Flair school there, and Kristina was living in Norway. And with my passport, it was hard to go to Norway for a long period, and with her passport to be in Moscow as well. And then, I mean, if you don't speak Russian in Moscow, you don't really enjoy it. You cannot stay there for too long. And and we decided to move to Bali, right? Because I had that thought for some time before we met. And we moving to Bali, we just went away from all Flair scene, right? So she didn't really get to experience herself enough in that Flair industry, you know. Like even though she had so much attention, like from everyone in Flair world, but she didn't get to compete enough because we kind of.
I still have that drive within inside me.
Well, you just competed fairly relatively recently.
I mean,
you're gonna do more, Yeah,
I would love to. I still have a practice room right next to our house, and I'm still. It's just that now I'm working a lot, but I still have that drive. I didn't fulfill that passion yet, same as Denny.
People like to see her flairing because, like, you know, she's like pretty girl and she does this like cool moves that in kind of dancing style. Even without competing, she ended up in she ended up that you're pretty girl. I didn't say that.
Wow.
She ended up in this Steve Harvey show in US as well.
You know? Okay.
So it's really interesting how, like, even without enough exposure, she has so much attention. You know. So
I actually got more attention than him.
Oh, so he's like.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. No, everyone knows him.
But that was one thing that was kind of cool about when we were in Singapore was that the one Korean guy that we met, and he was basically just saying like how like all the Korean like Flair bartenders basically like worship.
You
like
go
Denny.
Anywhere, they will know Denny Bakiev, even if they don't work in the bar. Almost, it's like.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, for sure. It's one of the benefits what we were talking about, like what were the highlights of, you know, of Flair life and stuff. For sure, like going to some random bar somewhere abroad and suddenly someone like coming to you like, oh yeah, we know you, you know. It's like it was really.
But it's like the best scene too to be like, because if you go into a bar and someone knows you to that extent,
Mm.
then it's like
It's-
free
it's-
drinks all the time.
Yeah, dangerous, right? No, it was funny stories. Like, I remember I was going for a contract for 1 month to work in the north of Egypt. There was this
Okay.
resort where I was supposed to work, and then I arrived to Cairo, and my bag was lost in somewhere in transition, and I needed to stay in Cairo for like 2 nights to wait for bag or something like that, and I just posted on Facebook like, is there any Flair bartenders in Cairo? And suddenly this guy replied. He came to pick me up from hotel. He showed me the whole Cairo. I didn't, I tried to pay. They didn't allow me to pay. The
Yeah.
experience, the best of Cairo. I was there for the first time, right?
Yeah.
But I had someone interested to show me the whole town
Yeah.
and stuff. So for sure, it's
Yeah.
like it's huge.
It's really cool
benefit.
how like there's these really high level performers in these very small kind of niche industries, but these it becomes a worldwide community, and it's like almost like a family, like a brotherhood. where
Yeah, for sure.
You can just make a shout out and just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's real cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
And another one as well, just that we want to talk about it. In 2012, I think that was the year when I was the most kind of prepared physically with my routine. I had everything kind of ready for competing in the world competition in London. So I tried to actually apply for visa to London 3 times before 2 times before 2012, and I got denied 2 times, right? So in 2012, since I was really ready, I was like preparing all the documents and just talking about that competition. It's called Roadhouse World Flair, and
Yeah.
that's like the most prestigious Flair bartending event.
Have you guys seen that movie Roadhouse?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze.
Oh,
I'm not sure if that was that. I don't watch anything about Roadhouse anymore. And basically, I applied for visa in 2012. It was like around October, and in November, competition was in November at the end. So I applied for visa, and I was supposed to wait around 1 month, right? So I went to practice. In 1 month, I was practicing for like 6, 7 to 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I just like let go of all my friends, of everything. I was so determined, and somehow like I really narrowed my attention to practicing. So I was like kind of preparing myself to win the world title, So I kind of decided to put all possible effort in that, and that was extremely hard as well, because I had this Flair room where I was alone, spending up to 9 hours a day, 6 days a week by yourself in that room with same music, same routine. I was going mental, Like
Yeah.
I remember the last week was like super hard. I almost like breaking down sometimes, in the room when I was still kind of dropping something or doing some mistakes after putting so much effort. I was so mad, and it was really funny to it is funny to remember right now. And so basically, I get to the point when I was the most ready in my life, right? And I went to Kiev to pick up my passport. The next day, I was supposed to fly to London for the world competition
so
already.
you had everything with you, like
Yeah, I had my
luggage
bag,
with
everything,
bottles
right? And it
Yeah,
was
it's
like maybe
perfect.
500
Yeah.
kilometers between my city and Kiev, so I need to take a train, and kind of I had my ticket to London, everything. And I'm picking up my passport, and it was banned. It was visa was denied, and they banned me for 10 years from 2012, just because for Ukrainian passport it's quite hard to explain, or how to say that, explain to people that you're not gonna come back to Ukraine. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they kind of trying to find any possible way for you to sneak out, or maybe provide some false
False
in your
documents or anything,
documents and
yeah.
stuff like that. So they didn't, because I was not working officially anywhere, right? I was freelancing. I was doing my things everywhere in the world. So I was
Yeah.
paying cash everywhere, and I was putting money in my bank account. So there was no kind of proof that I actually owned
Just
those
looks
money.
like you're a drug dealer or something.
Yeah, So they kind of they used that for as a reason, and they denied my visa. So like coming out from the embassy, I was like extremely upset, right?
Yeah.
I put so much effort, and before 2012, I had already around like four years of experience, or 5, 4 I think. And coming back home, I remember it was such a dramatic experience. Like
Yeah.
I needed to take a train going home instead of going to London, and stuff like that. And basically, after the London competition, there was another competition in Bucharest, in Romania,
Yeah.
and I was supposed to go there too. And everyone from London was going there. So it was like I think 2 or 3 days after London. So I ended up going to Bucharest.
Yeah.
And the guy who won world title in 2012 in Roadhouse, he was there as well. So basically, I won the Romanian competition,
Yeah.
and the guy took second place, and it
Yeah.
was the same judges, right?
Yeah.
So it was like super dramatic. I was staying on the stage. They
Yeah.
give me the trophy and stuff, and it was like super happy moment, but at the
Yeah.
same time quite sad moment, you know. Even
Yes.
some of the judges came to me and they're like, yeah, if you would show this routine on like 2 days ago in London,
Yeah.
you probably would have chances to win as well and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's good to know, you know.
Yeah.
So it was quite like sad and
It's very
experience,
serious. I mean, it's very serious when you come up to that level. We have like some friends who they will practice like Roadhouse stage. It's inside there. It's dark, like
Mhm.
very dark. It's in the basement and the walls are like black and the bar. It's very dark. The
Mhm.
light is not good. So they will actually make their practice room like dark, like not paint, but put up like dark curtains, make
Yeah.
it as dark as possible and practice like that. And also like if they go from Europe to Asia, there is a time difference. They will like maybe adjust like months ahead, like
Yeah.
practicing sleeping in daytime, like
Yeah.
practicing towards Asian
yeah, you
time.
have to
Asian
have a
time.
structure because
Like
yeah.
Olymp-
That's pretty intense.
yeah, it's
setup
pretty-
for
pretty
No,
preparations.
but back then, like you could some of like Christian Delpish, like the
Yeah,
guy we
yeah.
met in Singapore, his brother. I think it was before I started. I think it was 2007, just about when I started. It was 2007, 2008. In 1 year, he could make up to like $150,000 out of from competitions only.
Yeah.
You know, so like the prize monies could be like $20,000 for first place.
Wow.
So of course, when there's that much money involved, you need to put enough effort to make sure that you better than everyone else,
Yeah.
because everyone else is practicing exactly the same time. So you kind of need to organize yourself the best way possible. Same as Olympic sportsmen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They
yeah.
like before, if they know that competition is happening, or Olympics is in Japan, but they're in US, so they'll practice maybe at night and sleep daytime maybe a few months ahead already,
Mm.
right? So kind of same thing applies here. You try to adjust to environment as much
Mm.
as possible before you even go there sometimes, you know. So yeah, it was really
And also another friend, I'm talking about Tomek Marek now, like super good. You met that.
Yeah. He's a real cool dude. He's, I mean,
sure.
definitely
So
gets.
so Tomek, he would like adjust his timing and make his practice room as much as possible, same as the competition.
you have the whiteboard. You write
Yeah.
up all the drops you're doing, like
Yeah.
so you can
But-
actually track your progress if you stop doing
Yeah.
mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Marek, he even changed his diet, becoming like a vegetarian, because he just, when he ate like meat for lunch or something, he would get like tired after.
Yeah.
So he wanted to just have energy the whole day to practice. So he
Yeah.
actually cut
Yeah,
out
diet
like
is
meat.
very
Yeah.
personal.
So,
So-
do you guys also you do anything with regards to your nutrition or diet when you guys get serious about practicing?
No, I think
in general, I just don't. I don't eat meat.
You just don't
like,
eat anything.
Definitely,
I
like
know
after
why.
living in Bali, for 5 years and
Yeah.
getting a little bit more in wellness and like looking after yourself more, we get educated in a way and
But
probably
it's
raise
more
our
about
awareness.
it's more about
But-
listening to your body. Like for me, my whole life, I've been like eating Thai food, a lot of veggies, and I like seafood. I don't mind eating meat, but I just don't.
I was just talking about like when you practice and then you come to
Yeah.
this
Does it change anything?
Um,
Like when you're if you're like, let's say you were focused like for 1 or 2 months, you're practicing 9 hours a
You are
day.
eating
No,
healthy then,
I
because
didn't care at all about food. I mean,
You didn't care
I
about
think
food. You just eat
see,
Snickers bars every
when
day.
you're 100% engaged in something, you don't really. It's hard to balance, you know what I mean? Like in that time when I was trying to prepare myself to the most, and like you're 22, 23, 24 years old. It's like you don't really think about things like that. All you want is just to get the best you can,
Yeah.
And then we were just having some chocolate and breaks with some
I
coffee
eat
or
healthy
something.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you didn't practice the way we did, so it's very different. But yeah, I know some people like Marek, for example, he had problem with his stomach right now.
Oh yeah, right.
Because for a long time he didn't really look after that,
Yeah.
because he was only focused on this and nothing else. So I think it's when you want
you're
to.
done, you're tired, so tired, and you eat, and then you just want to rest, so
Yeah.
you sleep, and it's not like Denny said, it's not that healthy. I think.
I think
when it
nothing
becomes-
when you get to that professional My mom is sports school director, right?
Yeah.
And I remember she said when I was playing football since I was 6 years old until like almost finishing high school, and she said something about sport. That sport is actually not healthy. She said like the exercises and kind of activity is healthy, but professional sport is completely unhealthy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we find a lot of people in the gym, especially even high level, like Olympic level athletes, they'll come in and they just have massive issues with their body because when they're doing the sport, they're just practicing the same movement over and over and over again. So then you can see, like, you look at their body and their whole body is changed to better perform this one movement,
Exactly.
but the complete opposite movement is totally messed up.
Like football, you play, you practice, your knees are completely damaged, like you stretch your muscles all the time and stuff, it's like a lot of things in professional sport that not necessarily healthy, but again, personally through that you growing as well, so you know what I mean, it's hard to balance those two things. I think if you want to achieve, especially be the best in the world in anything, even if you want to be the best in the world in brooming, that will apply a lot of effort, right?
Yeah.
Like
I think they have a brooming competition next month.
I mean, we are 7 billion people, like to be one of the best in the world in anything, it requires so much. And you need to sometimes forget about health, anything, just to make sure you achieve that. So it's kind of...
Brooming?
No, but I'm saying... No, it's just like housekeeping, whatever,
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, you just take the most silly
sure
things,
there's
but
gotta
try
be
to be the best
something
in the
there,
world
yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
Someone...
No, of
Yeah.
course. Everything, it has to be moderate or balanced somehow, anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's also okay to not be not balanced sometimes when you want to
for sure.
achieve
But
the result.
you do see now, like with more and more information, you see high level. I mean, look at the like in the NBA where back when Michael Jordan was playing, like they were like just eating anything. They were like drinking like crazy and smoking,
Exactly.
and they didn't really like train like how professional athletes train now, where they're so focused on. Their entire life is like
science,
recovery, nutrition, and science. Yeah, so I'm sure maybe the new guys coming up, in Flair now, they're probably
that's
more.
Yeah.
It's changing right now. Like you can see, like first 5 years ago, I didn't hear so much about yoga, about meditation, about this and that. So now, like the whole world is changing.
I grew up with that a bit.
No, but but in that
depends how you
mainstream
grow up
way.
also.
I'm not saying that, but in the mainstream, like in Ukraine, I never, it was something superstitious in a way.
For sure.
So like you also eating healthy and healthy lifestyle,
Yeah.
it's becoming like for the last 5 years it was rising, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, or maybe I don't know, 10 years. But things just changing very quick in this world. So. It's interesting for sure. Like if I would compete right now and I would practice the same way as I used to, I would probably get to the better result by using a little bit of mindset training,
More
or just
technique,
like structuring yourself better, eating better, sleeping, taking breaks and organizing myself better. Just because after 5 years I learned a lot of different kind of tools, by living in Bali and practicing different kind of stuff. So
What are some of the things that you guys have found really important in Flair bartending or in mixology that you think is like unquestionably like very important things to focus on for people? Like let's say someone is wanting to come up into like Flair bartending or into mixology. Like is there certain things that you've eventually realized through your experience that you think are just
I think
have-tos?
You mean like tools or what?
Well, I don't know. Like if there's very specific things you need to focus on, or like what are the things that most people don't see as an outsider?
What's important if you want to make it like now, I think, is to do something really great, and unique. And it's same as you work out. But you do like the pull-ups, you do like 50, but you don't do them good, And if you do, it's better to do 10, like proper shape and proper form, like really, really nicely. Same in flaring, you do your flair, you practice your style, and you don't follow, like, because like Denny said, there's so many flair bartenders, but you cannot tell the difference, kind of. You could tell the difference by Denny, because he has such charismatic style. So he found like his way, and I think that's what you need to focus on. Not you can watch and get inspired by everyone, but just at least not do the same.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's cool, you know, especially here in Asia, it's kind of like cool to do copy moves or do other moves, you know.
The originality aspect for sure is
yeah,
very important.
it's very different.
Instead of focusing on something that's been done already, you try to find what's your unique element, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone has different body, different lengths of their hands, and you know, like
Everyone
what
has
can
different.
look what if I do some moves and they look good, if another person is gonna do it, it's not gonna look the same because the whole physics are very different. So you need
That's
to
why. That's
need
why.
to find what works for your body,
Yeah.
you know,
That's why
naturally.
I love dancing. You can tell now, like I follow many dance groups,
Yeah.
and you can see like when a group of people are dancing to the same song and same dance, but they're so different. All of them, like
Yeah.
you have one person doing it very much like that, and another is like so much more attitude like that.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Everyone has different.
Would you
style.
say, is that a unique aspect to your routines, is adding a dance component?
Yeah,
or?
as far as I can, I always try to use like music and dance. I love that.
How would you characterize your flaring style?
Stylish. No, I'm just kidding. No, but with dance, as like without music, it becomes a little bit not robotic, but I mean, I can get inspired by, or I do get inspired by a song. If I hear a song that I just love, I will pick up a bottle and I will just do something, you know, to that song because I just feel it, like within the soul. I think music is something everyone like feels.
So how would you? So there's definitely some people that, I mean, we talked about some of the competitors in Singapore. How like there was some that are like very naturally gifted, or some that are more creative than others, and then some were like even who was the guy nicknamed like he's like the machine, where he was just one of the guys is just like he didn't have a lot of you didn't feel like he had like a lot of natural talent, but he just kept working like super hard. Yeah. So
like just out of exactly. Some people have a little bit less maybe creativity or that natural talent, as you said, but then when they apply to like much more work than some talented guys, they achieve better results. It's for sure, because through hard work you probably that's the key, right, in anything.
Yeah, because I think that everybody is, you know, given a certain amount, like they have a high end and a low end with whatever they want to accomplish, and you find that even people who could be naturally like amazingly gifted but don't put in that hard work, so they kind of fall very short of where they could have been.
Exactly.
And you kind of find that in most scenarios, like when someone's really gifted and they fall short of what their potential was, like people are just like, oh man, that's really sad. But then it almost doesn't even work the other way around. Like, well, if someone is like maximizing their potential, you know, there's definitely it's like, wow, this guy, you know, is not very gifted. Like he could just be like a really short little tiny dude, but it's like, wow, he really made the most of.
Yeah, you can probably substitute some of the part of that natural talent with some hard work, you know, and trick people with that somehow, because if you put so much hard work in what you're doing, people will start thinking that you're actually talented, you know. So we've seen that in Flair as well. Like maybe some people in the beginning, they were not really showing a lot of creativity and stuff like that, but through like really putting so much effort and hours in their practice, performing on stage with so much confidence because they know they can do it.
I think
it
word
looks very talented. You know
that
what I mean?
word, saying someone is like very talented, right? It's, I mean, if they would watch like one of your guys' routine and just say like, oh wow, you're really talented, it looks so easy. It's to a small extent, it's almost kind of like I think of it as like almost kind of like disrespectful to not understand like how much work you guys put in, and just be like, oh, it looks so easy, like you're just so, you were like born with this talent and it just came naturally to you.
Yeah, you just took the bottom and you started doing it.
Right.
You also said about, you asked about some kind of not advice, but what would you kind of tell to people who's starting, right?
Yeah.
I think the main thing here is to have like 100% engagement and involvement. You know, if you engage 100% in your practice, you will make exact mistakes that you need to make to actually find out what you need to find out in a way, you know. So when you're fully engaged in what you are doing, doesn't matter, like you don't need to kind of look at anyone, any advices or anything. You're just gonna boil in your craft, and that will shape something out of you, you know what I mean? It's something unique usually, because then you will, you know, follow your path. Because sometimes following this or that way, or it doesn't really, evolution is not really happening that way, you know what I mean? Because you just end up doing the same way as someone else was doing.
Yeah.
So I think just the best advice thing would be just to be fully engaged in your practice and forget about any advices sometimes, you know. For sure you can listen, you can hear some different points of view, but you need to try your thing and try it 100%, you know.
I did like that when I started, like before I decided to move back home to my mom. I didn't want to watch any videos from Flair bartenders on YouTube and stuff like that. My colleagues, they would show like, Kristina, you need to watch this guy. You will like him. He's like super talented, and the music he likes is the same style as you. I heard that like 6 months before I actually met Denny, and it was him they were talking about. But I was like, no, I'm not gonna watch. I was like, no, and I actually put the video on just to listen to the music. But I didn't watch the Flair. I was like, because the song was super cool. Because that's why I think also we connected a little bit. We have kind of like same taste and in music, and just. So I was listening to music, and I was like, wow, that's a cool song, you know? And then eventually I just saw that he liked my video, and I was like, boom, that's it. I'm just kidding. Facebook. It can also be used as a good thing. I mean, share, inspire, and
Listen is,
Sure, shared experiences, I mean, shared interests for sure. I mean, if there wasn't Flair bartending, I mean, who knows if you guys would ever even met, you know?
That's the interesting question actually also, because it was Tom talked about that before, like what now like people don't attend the competition so much anymore, and the sponsorship is not good and stuff, because everyone is sharing through media, you know, through Facebook, Instagram, so you kind of like get the recognition and the attention there. It's weird, but you do, so people maybe don't feel the need to. Before you needed to go to a competition to show your Flair, or else nobody would see it, or you could not share it otherwise, you know. But now,
it's changing. I mean,
there's online competitions as well. Even there's
really?
So everything now is online.
Everything's online. I think seeing live stuff. It's even in sports in America, you see like more and more people are not going to the actual live events. They're just staying at home. They feel like they get a much better viewing experience as well, like being at home, and it's like they don't have to deal with the crowds of people. And it's like not all the obstacles, traffic or dealing with drunk people at the bar or whatnot, you know. But I definitely still. I mean, for me, I so much appreciate seeing like live performances. They're just
you have that, you get the energy and feeling. It's
just like having conversations with people too. It's like there's people just want to text message all the time, but there's so much missing in communication. You know, you can't see their emotional response. You can't see how their body language is, and it adds such a really cool aspect to it. Yeah. So how did Kristina, like your transition? You're still wanting to compete?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I will,
When's the next one?
I don't know, because now I'm very full on
working.
Yeah.
Working now where?
Working in a group of restaurants with, your favorite.
I know,
place.
but
Mason group. Yeah. We have Fishbone Local, Mason, and the back room in Bakiev.
Okay. Yeah. And you're making the whole menu as well, right?
For the drinks. So the bar department is
How's that going?
It's good. Very good.
Yeah, and then you also make all the drinks and stuff at the.
Yeah, it comes to management more now, so I'm not so much present behind the bar anymore. I'm more just looking after the stock and motivating the staff. I have bar managers in each restaurant.
Yeah.
So my job is to motivate bar managers to make sure they know everything they need to know to do their job properly. So it's like just trainings all the time and supervising.
Yeah, same for me. We don't work in the bar.
But you would make the original recipes for
For sure.
for the bar, right?
Yeah,
So the mix,
the
doing
drink
the drink menu mixology.
Well,
So like what goes in, like for you guys, like what goes into that process of making drinks? Like are you just like, oh, we should have a, you know, gin and tonic
No,
with lime
this is
and-
also inspired by like the trends in the cocktail world now. Like what ingredients are hot now or something like that. You want to use some local ingredients, whatever. It's just basically experimenting a little bit, like you would cook or I don't know.
It
I
comes
get
to your
the-
personal taste as well, and you know, you basically everything is created in some point, in some way. You know, there is some bars in the world who are still driving it and creating some new stuff and new combinations or new ingredients and stuff like that. They distill it in house, some
There's
different
very many-
infusions and stuff, and it just.
No, sorry. I just want to say there's very many different levels of making cocktail menu. Also, you were there in that bar.
Yeah,
in
I think
Singapore.
it's a very cool experience. I mean, even when we all went to the tea ceremony, like
Oh yeah.
listening to high level connoisseurs in their craft, and you know, like talking with the other the Flair bartenders, and we were going around to all the different like speakeasy bars, like old man's, like listening to people like talk about you know, even Thomas talking about all the different kinds of vodkas like in Poland, and
Yeah,
how they're
it's
all
insane.
like so different from each other. It's very cool to kind of hear like the amount of like energy and thought that goes into what you guys do. It from an outsider's perspective, like when you're making your drink or doing your own craft, like it almost sounds like it, or it almost like feels like it's just it is kind of an easy thing, and it just like you don't really see like the mental process that you guys are always going through, like but yeah, I very much highly appreciate, like even more so now, like having experienced that weekend, seeing how people like take so much energy into making a drink. Because like before, I think when most people, especially when they're young and they just go to a bar, they're just like, ah, just give me my damn like vodka and soda, you know, and just like don't care like what the bartender does. But like I do much appreciate going to like a speakeasy and just being like,
For the
I'm almost, yeah, and to a small extent too, like I almost don't want to, I mean, there's some things that I would love to taste from the menu, but I would almost appreciate, like, you know, giving the bartender, even if they have the energy to do it, and if they're not obviously like super busy, but you know, asking them for particular drinks, or even having them try to experiment with stuff.
You have to be reasonable. It depends on the concept of the place.
Oh,
like,
what's something that a person should not do when it's a busy bar? I think this is a really good tip, you know, like, you know, like if the bar is really busy, like what should you?
You should not go inside the bar and what do you call this?
I don't know.
Tapping.
Yeah, you should not go inside the bar and tap on the bartenders and order a drink.
Yeah, and then what kind of drink should you not order when it's like super busy?
Like old fashioned or something like that. It takes time.
Yeah,
No, it's fine. Old fashioned is fine. I think if you ask, I don't know, man. It's hard to say because like.
Because sometimes they'll be like
like
super busy, and they're like the bartender's like going crazy, like making as many drinks as they can, as fast as they can, and then you try to ask for like a super complicated.
fresh orange juice or something like that, you know,
Yeah,
like
it's like
when you
squeeze my orange juice.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no ice.
But now we
and
work
stuff,
a lot
you know?
with like pre-batches. We make everything like as far as we can, like even old-fashioned. But I'm talking about if you make it originally, where you need to like stir 30 seconds, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want that on a busy night, the peak
No,
hours.
I mean, if you're a professional bartender, it's like you will manage anything. You know, if people asking, like it doesn't matter if it's busy. You just do things one by one, and let's say, but for sure it can get overwhelming sometimes. It's just one example when it was like busy night, and it's like so many people, and you make 20 drinks in the same time, making espresso and trying to manage some bills and stuff, and this lady comes and she asks, what juice do you have? And you start like, we have orange juice, we have cranberry, pineapple, apple, and guava, and she's asking back, do you have orange? Yeah, I just said it first, you know, like you just come, instead of asking some silly questions like, what juice do you have, just ask what kind of juice you want straight away instead of asking, oh, what do you have, you know, if you know what you want already. So things like that sometimes can be silly, but people people acting, especially when they're a little tipsy in so many funny
I'm sure
ways.
it's hard to sometimes maybe deal with drunk people. That means another.
You always have the drunk people who want something very special, you know, with their drink. They know what they want to drink, exactly that, and that's what they want to order. And you know, I mean, they like, I will have that, but not with that, and like this and that, and it's just pain in the ass actually. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, it's fine.
No, but
as you see, it depends on the places. Like I work for for group restaurants where they're mostly driven by food and service. And cocktails is for sure important, but we are not like we're not speakeasy cocktail bars. It's not our kind of niche, you know. So our drinks are quite simple. It's just mostly something that you would find in some other places as well, but maybe with the twists. And we just, you know, my job is to make them balance and to make them look good, consistent, because we have so many people every day, right? It's like touristic destination, so a lot of people come in every night. There's no quiet season anymore in Bali, pretty much. So consistency is very important, 100%.
Yeah, I think consistency is, I mean, even for particularly for food in Bali, right? It's, I mean, well, any industry really is. That's a very high level indicator of like how good of quality like the facility is, because I feel like it's one of the hardest things to
and
do.
it comes to
really.
simple things as well, you know, like things like Campari orange. If you just use freshly squeezed orange juice and you have used good glass, good ice, like a fair amount of Campari, and top up with freshly squeezed orange juice, it tastes good, you know. You will enjoy it exactly the same way as you would enjoy some speakeasy drink, because it's really freshly made, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, I mean, for me, after so many years of experience in the bar, sometimes it just comes to the very like simple things. And what I usually order when I go to the bar, I would just have like, you know, maybe vermouth with some soda or something like that. Super simple, classic things.
Just vermouth and soda.
Vermouth soda, or it can be Americano, like Campari, vermouth and soda.
Yeah.
Just something like low alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's another trend right now in the world, like low ABV cocktails.
Oh, okay.
So instead of maybe doing martini, like 60 ml of vodka or gin and 10 ml of vermouth, you can do upside down. You can reverse it and use maybe 50 or 60 ml of vermouth and 10-15 ml of vodka or gin. Okay. And it become like much more sessionable, especially for this environment when it's very hot. You don't want to drink like strong cocktails. Drinks like that you can just enjoy, you know, for a longer period of time without getting smashed straight away.
So Kristina, what would be your like go-to? What's your like go-to drink if you go to a bar?
I drink beer.
Oh, okay.
I like beers.
Yeah.
Like
any particular kinds? Like, are you a big lager fan or pilsner or?
No, any beer actually. Dark, pale ale, amber, anything. I like all beers.
Okay.
I don't like spirits that much.
Do you like those beer, like it's quite popular to have like the beer cocktails, right? Like
it's good there now. Yeah. A lot. It's a trend for sure.
Yeah.
We have that too, but I mean, I don't know. I just like very simple beer. I mean, I will not order actually a drink if I go outside. I can taste it, but personally I will not order any drinks. I will just order beer.
Just beer?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. That's simple.
Yeah.
After being exposed to so much alcohol, like for the past, I'm behind the bar right now, 12 years, I think. Yeah. So like after trying so many things and, you know, being educated about quality and stuff and being exposed to it for so long time, I just get quite cold to alcohol in general, you know? Like, it's nothing really...
I mean, through your career, like, both of you must have tried, like, some of the most amazing, like, cocktails, like, just really high quality. But does experiencing, like, really high quality cocktails, does that make you not want to try cocktails at some places because you feel like it's just going to be really bad?
Of course, Yeah.
It's like if you go to Nirvana gym and then you want to
You
go
know,
somewhere
yeah.
else, you're like,
No, it is for sure.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how like you want to experience the best of something, but almost by doing so, kind of almost like ruins the experience of going to any other like
yeah,
normal
but it's good
place.
because you raise your awareness to it, right? You
Yeah.
expand your like vision
Yeah.
on some things, so you understand, oh, this is good and this is not good. And before I tried the best, I thought this is fine, right? But now
Yeah.
after like knowing all this, it applies to everything. I think that's how we kind of develop and grow, right?
Mm.
And then in the end, you just know how bad it is for your health as well to have that quality or this, so.
I think that's good in the sense that like anything that would be considered like something done for pleasure, so drinking should be done for pleasure. Like high quality food is done for pleasure. It almost naturally makes you healthier because you're not drinking it or you're not doing it as often. You enjoy the quality and the energy that it takes to make that product. Yes, even though we went to a lot of like speakeasies in Singapore, like I wasn't like purposefully like getting smashed, right? Like just drinking for the sole purpose of getting drunk. Like it was drinking about the experience and it's seeing how people like are working their craft and creating that. What was that? We had this one drink with the popcorn thing. What was it? You remember that drink?
It was popcorn syrup, something like an old fashioned with popcorn.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, it was really interesting.
You people are going. They use whatever can potentially become trendy, right? And whatever is Instagrammable as well. That's another thing that bartenders are aiming. They want you to take a picture and post it in your Instagram or stories, so people kind of like it's all marketing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have a drink like that coming up, Kristina, on your guys' menu? Like someone just being like taking a picture and it's like, wow, this is Kristina's drink. Like, wow. No.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, for sure we do. Like Denny said, we try to make cocktails as presentable so people will. It's free promotions.
Yeah.
But one also advice like to people, not advice, but like you can look at alcohol same as you look at food. You would never, especially if you look after your health and you're exercising and looking after what you eat, you never eat something that you don't know what it's made out of, right? You don't buy something from Alpha Mart, like a bar of chocolate that is not even chocolate and all this, you know what I mean? Like compared to maybe some organic raw chocolate, for example, you would choose that one, right? So because you don't want, you don't know what that one is contained out of. If you read the ingredients inside, you don't know even half of it, right? It's all kind of chemical or whatever it is. So same for alcohol, I think, since alcohol is we're all exposed to it, and people here and there, even healthy, like people who is working out and stuff, here and there they have a beer or a glass of, I don't know, vodka soda or something with his friends or stuff like that. I think it's healthy to actually know how maybe alcohol is made out of, what it's made out of, what's the process of making, what's the difference between good quality of spirit and bad quality of spirit. It's the same way as you treat your food, you can also treat your alcohol. If you drink here and there once in a while, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely why, like, it's taken, obviously, it takes people a long time to get to a point where they appreciate the quality of the food and the drinks that they have. But, once you get to a point where you do have that appreciation, like, I really do, if I'm going to go for a drink, like, I know, like, my first choice is to go and see you two and wherever you're at, because I know that whatever it is that you guys are going to make is going to be high quality, because I know that your standards are just high, and I think for a lot of people, going to a restaurant, not just based off of the restaurant, but figuring out like who is actually the one making the drink, who is making the food, and how do they value like what they do, like their craft, what's their philosophy. And then once you know like what their philosophy is, you can almost like, if you were both of you, right, if you happen to leave the groups that you're working with, like I would basically like follow you around, like,
stalker.
Like I would follow you around and be like, wow, like Kristina's at this new place, like I gotta go there because I know it's gonna be a fantastic. And I think to that extent, like, but it's true, like it's with like.
No,
like
but same for us. If you would move your gym or whatever, we would follow you. I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's because we know that it's the best. In the
Yeah, it
world.
definitely goes a lot. I mean, both of you talking about your craft and talking about, and I'm sure we can go into it like super deep, and having that real understanding of like what is the difference between just some like new kid on the block who making a gin and tonic versus like even something as simple as like a gin and tonic. Like I know that even given the same exact ingredients that you guys, when you make your gin and tonic, will be better than like another person making gin and tonic.
It's a touch.
It's a touch thing,
it's
right?
Energy and soul. Everything has a soul, you see.
Yeah.
So it can be like that.
Yeah,
But-
definitely. If you hate your job and you make a drink, and you're gonna some kind of subconsciously you will feel it anyway.
Yeah.
Once you get that drink. So for sure, everything you do, you need to kind of infuse it with some kind of good feeling, right? But another thing also, sometimes expensive. If alcohol is expensive, it doesn't mean it's good as well. Like because it's a lot of marketing as well. Sometimes the bottle can cost more than the spirit, and I mean just the glass that for marketing sake.
Yeah.
And so you kind of need to also have reasonable. Some people think like, oh, that whiskey costs so much and that's why it's the best. I mean, not necessarily. You can find like much cheaper whiskey and enjoy it exactly the same way, and quality will be not too far from that one. It's just the marketing, because you need to know how much money they actually invest for you to know the brand to buy it, right?
Right.
So
I think that also is true on any industry, right? Like even in the fitness industry, there's so many gyms they're really good at marketing, branding. They spend so much money on getting nice equipment, like getting nice stuff.
Yeah.
But the actual quality of what they're doing
Training,
is quite normal or below average.
Yeah.
Like you can go to a speakeasy bar and you could have the highest quality liquor in the world or alcohol in the world, but they can still make like crappy drinks.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or they can use super expensive glassware, beautiful garnish, the expensive menus, like uniform, the light, the whole thing, but the alcohol will be shit, right? So it will feel like for you that it's actually exclusive, but inside it's not going to be anything.
The opposite also.
Yes.
Like a place.
It's easy to trick people. Still, it's
Yeah.
like you just need to know how to manipulate.
I mean a place or a bar that's nothing special, but the drink is awesome. The bartender made, you have that also. I mean the opposite of this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think too, it's but then it just goes back to what I find to be the most important. It's not. I mean, sure, you want a place that looks nice or has good environment. You want like really high quality alcohol, but at the end of the day, it's the experience of the person behind the bar and the people that are running the place that make a place what it is.
Yeah, the feeling, 100%. Also, like that's what we always focus in our, like in the Maria, mostly. I mean, Mexicola is very like party and busy place. It's hard to provide the best service. People just enjoying themselves by themselves.
Yeah.
But the Maria, for example, always was about feeling. Like you come inside and it's for sure it's about product and food and drinks and everything. But the one thing that stays the most important is the feeling, the way you get greeted, the way you get approached with the menu, if stuff is polite and stuff like that. There's manager around who not just supervising but actually coming to your table and be friendly and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, after 12 years of experience behind the bar, I would say there's nothing more important than just a good, humble way to approach people when they come to your place, and there's no product can substitute that. If you can have the best product, but if your service and feeling on the floor is shit, people not gonna really enjoy it anyway, So, but if your service is great and food is average, people still can have a good time, because you're looking after them and you make them feel special, and that's why people want to go out instead of cooking at home, right? They want to go and have the experience feeling something else, right? So that's what we kind of try to provide all the time, and I think that's where all of us kind of need to focus. And product can just kind of how to say that be added to the pot, like. But fundamental of it is always will be like service and feeling, for sure.
So both of you, like being in the food and beverage industry in particular, like you got both of you are like managing these big groups these restaurants, doing the menus, like trying to deal with your own health and nutrition. Like, how do you balance everything? You know, how do you?
It goes up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for me.
Is there balancing, or is it just like there's certain points?
I have to say, like, definitely Nirvana helps me to do balance. You know, your recovery and the open gym that I'm doing, I'm really enjoying it. So like for me, it's a great balance. But for sure, like sometimes to do your best, like if you want to kind of grow and expand, like. As I said, I'm trying to learn about music production. I'm managing these
really
places.
excited for that, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm
First
trying
concert's
to
coming soon, yeah?
Yeah. No, it will be for sure. But yeah, and I'm still kind of involved in Flair scene as well. I'm going to Moscow in September to judge this competition, so I still get invited for competitions or some shows once in a while. So sometimes you overload yourself with a lot of things. It's like, I mean, managing 3 restaurants on its own is already quite a lot, you know. But then I'm trying to kind of do music.
Yeah.
I'm still involved in Flair scene here and there, and trying to look after your health, like working out and stuff. So sometimes it can be overwhelming, but you just need to kind of once in a while you need to let go as well and stop putting pressure on yourself and just let it be, you know. That's also, I think, an art in a way, just to kind of like be fine with not being fine sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Knowing that you can't control
blame
everything.
yourself,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
always.
What are you working on now? Do you mean besides the bar?
And also for me, I had
Sleeping.
My bars. One of the bar is different because it's open late. So I've been having late nights there, and then it's not easy waking up early and being fully recharged again. I go back to work almost right away. When I wake up, I go out with my dog, have breakfast, and then I'm back at work. So because it was a new place that opened, but now it's a little bit better. So I'm always like, in my mind, it's like I just want to get a balance and a routine, and then go back to working out because it for sure it helps it gives you more energy.
Sure. That initial period was probably quite tough because you were basically having to create everything, right? Like you had to. Everything was just not in a really good place.
Yeah,
so
it's you can imagine yourself. You open a new place, or a new business, whatever. It's a lot of work anyway. I mean, I guess for everyone, you're creating like blueprints and structures and.
Yeah, but that's why I think, you know, because since you're doing a lot of things, it's still like quite important.
Then it's important, you see,
to raise your frequencies through working out or running, or you know, when you wake up and if you do some activity, you boost your heart. You know, everything starts flowing. You start feeling energy, and then everything you do feels different as well. And you kind of infuse everything with different energy too.
When's the new menu come out?
Already.
Oh, it's already out. You don't even tell me.
Already.
Okay.
Come.
We'll bring the group out for sure. Yeah, that'll be great.
There's some cool drinks.
Yeah. We'll still have to go out and hang out sometime.
Sure.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Kristina's always busy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Nice.
I actually go to this film concert in Nusa Dua in August. If you want to join.
You want to join?
Yeah.
Saturday, the 24th.
It's Sunny Side Up Festival.
The 24th of what?
24th of August.
Oh,
Sunny Side Up Music Festival is going to be like a couple of big artists, and Flume is, it's one of my favorite music producers, and he's going to do live show there, so it's going to be really cool.
Oh,
so
fantastic! You get tickets or something?
He won, not won, but he got the Grammy for Best Music Album some years ago. So he's like really
fantastic.
Big.
So legit.
If you want to come, we can. We need to book tickets, and we also stay over at. A hotel.
Did you choose which one yet or no?
Radisson Hotel.
Radisson. We have some friends there, so we can.
If you want to join, let us know.
Yeah, of course.
That'd be cool, no?
Yeah.
Just one night, and we have breakfast after, and just enjoy the day, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's do it.
A couple of drinks, maybe.
Yeah, drinks are always good. Yeah, so
gym in the morning.
Oh my God.
So we'll finish up here. Where can everybody find you if they want to follow along with your
Instagram? I think.
Instagram,
I'm not so active anymore in socials, but
they can go to, maybe they'll see you at Damaria.
Yeah, that would be the best.
Yeah.
Just come to Damaria for a drink and chat, you know.
Yeah, come to any one of my venues also. I mentioned earlier. The back room, Mason, Fishbone, local.
Or come to Nirvana Strength.
Or Nirvana
Find you
Strength.
in the recovery center.
And never find me here.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks to everybody listening to another episode of Nirvana Strength Practitioners Panel. And I'm sure we'll have Denny and Kristina come on again, and we can kind of delve a little bit deeper into their maybe mixology craft and how they manage their business and their life and maybe their relationship. And we'll see how they progress here in Bali.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.